Hello, I'm Dr. Kimberly Douglas, and I am the chief contributor to the Substack, The Learning Landscape, where we are mapping 21st century learning. I'm going to do a little shift this week. I've mainly been talking about over 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 a period of time. I've been talking about what's happening in the landscape. And if you'll notice in the past few weeks, I've been talking more about how we're building the landscape, the learning landscape, where education is happening. This conversation is intended to be a tool for you that tells you what next steps to take, what actions to take, because I want this to be more than a passive experience for you, where you're receiving information about the learning landscape and it's all good and it's esoteric and it's theoretical. But those of you who are builders, I want you to go build. And I want to tell you how to go build. In the past few weeks on my social media, other social media, I've been talking about pricing. And one of the reasons why I've been talking about pricing, and this message is for educational founders as well as other founders, is because pricing is where the rubber meets the road. It represents a series of decisions that you've made about what you're doing in the space, what you're trying to build, what you're trying to create, what you are trying to sell. But before we get to the conversation about pricing, we have to go back to the basics. And I'm going to start at the basics. What I'm offering you here today is both coaching and consulting in real time. You can take this and you can work with what I'm telling you today. I want this to be a space that promotes action and not passive reception of information and ideas. I want you to take this and go do something with it. So, starting at the basics, I have a resource called the Founders Five Questions, and I posted the link inside of the Substack post. You can go and get that. It's an infographic. You can go get that. It lists these 5 questions, and I put that in an infographic because I want to frame the conversation for you. I've done infographics like this in the past, and they're very simple. They don't have a lot of explanation on them, but they help frame the conversation for you. I've had a person tell me what they did with another infographic is that they actually printed it out or they had it open on a screen. And while they were working, they had it up where they could see it, and it was a reference point for them. It was a reference for them to go back and forth and really frame their ideas and keep them focused. So I'll talk about the Founders Five Questions here as we talk about pricing, as we talk about putting your educational products or services in the market, and so let me just start with the founder's 5 questions. If you are putting an educational product or service on the market, it's very important for you to understand what problem you're solving. What problem do you think you're solving with this product or service that you're putting out there? It's not enough for it to be a good idea. There are real needs in the market that you have to address in order for people to hear what it is you're offering. So, what problem does it solve? Who does it solve it for? So, who is your ideal client? Who is your ideal user? Who is it solving this problem for? If you cannot tell me this, then it makes it difficult to get into other conversations such as pricing. So, what are their demographics? Age, race, geographical location. What are their psychographics? What are their beliefs? What are their assumptions? What are their values? Who are they connected with? What do they fear? What keeps them up at night? What are their psychographics? Okay. So the first thing is, what problem are you solving? Who are you solving it for? Do they see it as a problem? Are you are you taking an AI tool just because it exists and putting something on the market because it's a good idea? So, what problem are you solving? Who are you solving it for? Do they see it as a problem? Now, they may see it as a problem, but do they see it as a problem that they want solved? Do they want it solved with your quiz? Do they want it solved with your journal? Do they want it solved? So, what problem are you solving? Who are you solving it for? Do they see it as a problem? Is a problem they want solved? And then the fifth thing is, do they want it solved with the solution that you're offering? So what this requires you to do is two things, is to test the problem itself. Is this really a problem? Is this really a problem that people want solved? Is the second part, right? So you're testing the problem. This is before you create anything. And if you've already created something, that's okay. You can always go back and pause and talk to people. You can talk to them about the problem, or you can talk to them about the solution you've come up with. But you test the problem first to make sure it is the thing that you are reading about the environment. So when we talk about the learning landscape, just like I've been talking about the tools in the learning landscape, what problems, what needs exist in the landscape. So let's go back through. What problem are you solving? So if you have a math tool, what problem are you solving? Who are you solving it for? Do they see it as a problem? Do they see it as a problem they want solved? And do they want it solved with your particular solution? And when we start talking about pricing, you can add a sixth point here, which is what are they willing to exchange for the solution that you're offering? Because your greatest insight about what you should be charging is going to come from talking to people who will actually use your product or service. And that insight comes from talking to them. You can buy data, you can do some data mining, but you have to go talk to the people. You have to go talk to the people. The other part of this is whatever you're building is replacing systems that are crumbling right now. You have to do your due diligence to make sure that you are building systems that will actually matter in the future. So let me go back through my list. What problem are you solving? Who are you solving it for? Do they see it as a problem? Do they see it as a problem they want solved? Do they want it solved with your solution? And then we can tack on number 6, which is what are they willing to exchange for that solution, the solution that you're offering? All of these points require you to investigate. You have to be curious about what's happening with the person you want to purchase from you, what's happening in the landscape. And here are some ways for you to explore and fulfill that curiosity, to address that curiosity. You can do data mining and listening to what's happening on social media. You now there's an AI that I forgot which company is it automatically scrapes Reddit and gives you insights. The thing is, there's a lot of noise in that data. There's a lot of noise in that data. And so it still requires you to have the expertise and do your homework to figure out what's noise and what's actually useful. But you can do plenty of data mining. You can do data mining through email. You can do data mining through websites. You can do all kinds of data mining. You can hold focus groups and talk to people as a group. You can distribute surveys. You can do that. You can do, which is my favorite, is one-to-one interviews, especially when you are first starting out and you're doing your discovery process. It doesn't matter how smart you are. It doesn't matter how capable you are. It doesn't matter how much of an expert you are. You have to be an expert in the people that you're trying to connect with. So interviews are really good in discovering what's happening on the ground. You use interviews, you can use surveys this way too, but you use interviews to actually test the problem. This thing that I think is happening in this environment, this gap in education that I am perceiving, is it actually a gap? Am I the only person who's seeing it as a gap? Or if you're a pattern reader and you tend to look at things far ahead like I do, is anybody else seeing this in the environment, or am I a little too early on this? So interviews will help you do this. Interviews will also help you prepare really good surveys. They'll help you tighten your surveys. So you have interviews, you have surveys, you have focus groups, you have data mining and data scraping, and you have all of these at your disposal to help you make decisions. For example, helping you make decisions about pricing. In other words, what people would be willing to exchange with you for what it is you are offering. I'm going to step back for a moment and say The service that I provide people is research service. But if I say research, nobody's going to hear me. So, what I've been talking about with regard to the learning landscape and ed founders and other founders is pricing. Because when I talk about pricing, you can hear me. You can hear me when I talk about how uncomfortable pricing makes you. And let me say this. So many of you have really good ideas that will just remain hobbies or special interest. Some of that is not intended to be a business or to be something that you generate revenue from or create revenue from. Some of it is just a hobby. And the way that you move it from being a hobby to an actual business is you have to do the research. You have to do the interviews or the surveys or the focus groups or the data mining. You have to have the business intelligence to move this, to be able to decide the pricing. Because pricing isn't a feeling, it's a finding. It is a research finding, which means that you can do it. It may make you uncomfortable, it may make you feel uneasy, but once you get that skill set for doing the research that helps you understand what that number should be, then it's a no-brainer. It's just like putting your shoes on. Once you understand what it should be. Here's the thing, I'm reflecting here about my experience receiving coaching and consulting. I'm sharing with you things that I wish people had just broken down to me in the very beginning. A lot of, not all, but a lot of the coaching part of learning new things in your business or being coached is about inspiration. And I don't need to be inspired. I've made the decision that I want to do this, so I don't need the inspiration. What I needed more so was people giving me clear instructions. If when I'm focused and I'm in a mode, I need for you to give me literal instructions. I need for you to tell me do A, B, C, D, or one, two, three, four, five. I need literal instructions. And so what I'm giving you are literal instructions. You have to know what's the problem you're solving, who you're solving it for. Do they see it as a problem they won't solve, and solve with your solution? And the literal instruction around that is go do your homework, go conduct the interviews, go conduct the surveys, go hold the focus groups, go do the data mining so that you get insights from the people who will actually purchase from you about what they will purchase, why they will purchase, or why they won't purchase it. You go, this is what you have to do. You will get advice about setting up systems and using tools, and all of that is very useful. But when we come, like the core of the conversation is about meeting the needs of the people in the environment. You have to understand what those needs are. And you understand those needs by asking those people. It's very simple. And it's like once somebody guided me, instructed me to do that, and to place that above many of the other decisions that I was making, it changed everything. If you're building a tool, so there are all kinds of ed founders, and it could be non-technical, it could be technical. But if you're building tools, if you're building infrastructure, you have to talk to the people that this is supposedly for. And whatever you're offering, you should be able to offer it and be at ease with your pricing. Be at ease in sending an invoice. Be at ease in clicking, admitting people to your community, to your group. You should be at ease with all of those things because you've done the homework to get there. Yes, I've been talking about surveying the learning landscape. The conversation is shifting because we need to decide what that landscape is going to be. We're deciding how to build out that landscape. As you're deciding, we need to do it in a way that does not consume you, that does not take away from your personal resources, your energetic, your emotional, your financial resources. When I talk with people about pricing, about the founder's 5 questions, It shaves off months of time. And I invite you to the conversation as well. I've included a link in this post that takes you to introductions with me about the title of the meeting is Price Right, and just ask you a few questions coming in the door, because we have to move this from being a hobby. We have to move this from being a special interest. As we make that transition, we cannot create a situation where you flounder and you get stalled. And part of being stalled is not having the right data. It's having instructions that don't work for you, that don't show you the next thing to do. You are building out the learning landscape. You're not just here to receive information about the learning landscape, but you're actually building out the learning landscape. And I want to make sure that you have the instructions to do that. Not try to get you to come do something so that I can sell you another program. No, let's go ahead and have a conversation, figure out what you need. And within that arrangement, within that container, you'll get the basic instructions. You'll get, this is step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, because we don't want you to waste your time. We are depending on you to make this happen. I want to keep talking to you about being an ed founder, and you can be a technical founder, you can be a non-technical founder, but always go back to the basics. I'm encouraging you to always go back to the basics. Go back to, who is this for? And do they think that this is for them? Or is this something, this is a creation only from my imagination or from an AI prompt? Does this have value in the actual world where people will use this and apply what it is I'm offering? I'm Dr. Kimberly Douglas. I'm the chief contributor to the Learning Landscape. I encourage you to comment, to like, to share. Keep this conversation going. Of course, I encourage you to become a paid subscriber. This gives me more time and more space to create content. But this is intended to be a real conversation where we're talking about what you need and what to do next. I could have thousands, I have hundreds of subscribers. But what I want is engagement. What I want to know is that this experience for you is contributing to something. And maybe it's not something that you're building, but a word that you could give somebody else that helps them keep moving. And even if you're, let me just add this. I was wrapping up, but let me add this. Even if you're in education or you come from an educational background, it doesn't mean that you know what to do in this environment. Out here where you're having to create yourself and pull teams together and build and grow yourself and create systems yourself, it doesn't mean that you know what to do just because you've done it for somebody else inside of an institution or inside of an organization. It is a different setup and it requires a different set of instructions out here. So I encourage you to ask for the support that you need, encourage you to be a student of the process. And one of the basic things you have to know if you're a student of the process is you have to go to the user, you have to go to the client. Who is this for? Do they even know it's for them? Is this something that they actually want? Take care, reach out to me, let me know if you have any questions. Goodbye.